Hey guys, I'm Josh and today we're talking about invasive species. Invasive species are animals that move or get moved from one ecosystem to another, usually due to human activity. This can be through ballast water in ships, the water needed to keep a ship balanced in rough seas, or even when released by accident. In this video, we'll take a look at the strange kind of invasive species known as the zebra and quagga mussels. They're only 25 to 35 millimeters long, that's about an inch, and they have invaded the Great Lakes all the way from over in the Caspian Sea. That's one really far journey. They didn't make it all in one trip though. Researchers say that they first came to Western Europe and the Mediterranean during the 1800s and 1900s, before getting sucked into some cargo ship's ballast water and hitchhiking all the way to the Great Lakes. They say this happened sometime during the late 1980s and into the 1990s. Now I know you must be thinking to yourself, so why do we care about these little mussels being in these lakes? Lakes are huge, how could something so small be a problem to them? Well, there's two reasons how they can affect the lakes in the way they have. Number one, there are a lot of them. Like a lot. They reproduce very quickly and each female lays close to 1 million eggs. Number two, they filter the surrounding water very well. The way these mussels quote-unquote eat is by taking in water and taking the nutrients out of it. And since there are a lot of nutrients in the Great Lakes, they can have a feast. These two reasons mean that the mussels pose a big threat to the ecosystem in a few ways, but the one we'll talk about here is the way they affect phytoplankton and the risk that has for the entire ecosystem. Plankton, no, not the SpongeBob character, but the tiny algae that live in the Great Lakes are a major part of the food web. They take in sunlight energy and convert it into the energy they need through photosynthesis. And that's pretty much it. They don't move by themselves, think, or act, but what they do is provide the base energy for the food web. So they're really important. This energy they create is passed on as they get eaten by other small creatures, then to fish, then to bigger fish, then to even bigger fish, and even eventually to us if we end up eating one of those fish. That energy they create essentially spreads out through the entire ecosystem. So a brief recap then. The zebra and quagga mussels have invaded the Great Lakes and they apparently affect phytoplankton, which are a key species in providing the energy the rest of the food web needs to survive. But just how do these mussels impact the phytoplankton? Basically, the mussels change the amount of nutrients available in the water by filtering so many out, leaving less and less for the phytoplankton to use. While the phytoplankton take in sunlight for energy, they still need nutrients for other functions. In fact, they are nutrient controlled, meaning that the amount of nutrients available to them has a direct impact on their population and health. Many scientific studies on the impacts of the mussels on phytoplankton have found that with higher numbers of mussels in an area, the lower the number of observed phytoplankton. Even computer simulations based on real data have shown this trend. So now that we are starting to understand the changes the invasive mussels are causing in phytoplankton, the next question is, well, how does this affect the rest of the ecosystem? Phytoplankton are crucial to the food web, being a main source of energy input, so if their numbers are going down, then the rest of the food web should be going down too, right? Well, it's not always that easy in nature. There are other plants and creatures providing energy to the food web as well, and interactions between species in a food web can be complex and ever-changing. Not to mention us humans can have a huge impact on the ecosystem as well, such as overloading the lakes with nutrients, but that's an entirely different problem for an entirely different video. Some research has been done and is being done on the impact on the higher trophic levels, such as fish, eels, apex predators, etc. But the impact is either still debatable or varies from species to species, sometimes even varies from region to region. So to wrap up, the zebra and quagga mussels have caused a major shift in nutrient availability throughout the Great Lakes, which has caused significant changes in the phytoplankton population. The impact on higher trophic levels, however, is still being investigated, but the effects of mussels seem to vary from species to species. It goes to show that ecosystems are so complex and so fragile, and that we need to take proper care of them and make sure that we consider all the possible consequences that our actions as a society could have. I hope that by watching this short video, you now know a little bit more about the zebra and quagga mussel invasion and what changes it has brought. Along with that, I hope you start to get a sense of just how incredibly complex ecosystems are and how fragile they can be. Finally, if you are interested in learning more about the zebra and quagga mussels or other invasive species, there will be links in the description to websites all about this topic for you to explore and to learn more. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.